morning. My theme today is about the poverty of Ethiopian women, and I'm trying to give you the gist of the subject in 15 minutes. Let me start by saying that poverty is now defined in a different way, and as you might probably know, it is defined as capability deprivation. It's not just defined from the angle of having no money, having no house, but it's generally defined as when the women's capability is deprived, then that is the basis for their poverty. Now, there are various facets of this deprivation. There is a social, there is political, economic, and ideological indeed. And it's a combination of all this that makes women poor, or poorer than men. Now, why a totality of this capability deprivation happens is a long story, but we can say that after passing lots of hurdles, human society has reached at the point where gender is the last frontier of the struggle for freedom, equality, and social development. It is for this reason that the struggle for empowerment of women is extremely difficult and a very hard struggle. This is one thing, and the second thing is, unlike other forms of struggles for economic, social, or political revolutions, the struggle of women for equality is not destined at a given enemy outside. The enemy is within society, within the household, and not the enemy per se, but in a sense of having obstacles that deprives their capability in many ways. Poverty is not lack of money or material, as well as in different senses, but as we say, it is capability deprivation. But generally, the poverty is also a lack of development. It is lack of development that brings or that generates poverty. Therefore, underdevelopment is the basis for the capability deprivation of women as a whole. That's why poverty is synonymous with underdevelopment, and these two, combination of these two, have a powerful element or a powerful impetus to the perpetuation of poverty of women. Now we need to look at the huge disparity between the position of women, or the colossal poverty of women, and the recognition, or the global or international recognition of human rights, particularly by the United Nations and other regional bodies such as the African Union and others, who recognize the right of women in a number of domains. So there is this huge disparity between the recognition of the right and the actual position of women. And the actual position of women is defined or generally reflected in massive poverty. And the UN Development Report have indicated for several years that today poverty has the woman's face. This is mainly because more than 70% of the poor in the world today are women. So this is not. So the poverty of women is not just one of the issues, but it's a very important issue of development and indeed a question of rights of women. Now, women's poverty is also a function of their disempowerment. And the poverty and disempowerment are synonymous. Therefore, deprivation, disempowerment, and poverty are on the same parallels. So, on the other hand, we also have the empowerment and disempowerment binary, which means the increase in the process of empowerment is at the same time decrease in the process of disempowerment, and vice versa. This is very important because there are various elements that contribute to the process, enhancing the process of empowerment, and there are also other elements that enhance the process of disempowerment. For instance, education is a function of empowerment as far as women and other marginalized communities are concerned, and it is a negation of disempowerment. Organization and activism is also another element that enhances the deconstruction of poverty among women. Now, having said that, let's have a look at, a glance at the position of women in Ethiopia. The various levels of deprivation, poverty. The first is the economic aspect, and we can say that we can start with the question of ownership right. In the traditional sector, land rights are mainly for men, and it has been established through different studies that land entitlement is basically for men, and it's hardly possible to find women with land entitlement unless in a very special cases such as when the spouse is deceased and so on and so forth. So this has huge impact on the power relations within the household, which is also reflected within the society at large. And this is also reflected, the deprivation is also reflected in the field where women are also involved in the work, weeding and so on and so forth. So, and if you look at the other major traditional sector in Ethiopia, the pastoral sector, we also have similar problem. But since land ownership is not, there is no private ownership of land in pastoral communities, so the issue there is livestock ownership, and women are not allowed to own property like livestock, animals, and so on and so forth. This has, again, just like peasant women, pastoral women also face exactly the same problem of being deprived of their capability within the household, which again has a reflection within the global society. So we can go on and mention several elements on the question of unemployment, question of ownership. Now, let's have a look at the question of employment as well. In the urban areas, discrimination have been witnessed in a number of ways. For instance, women are underpaid in many cases where you have equal work for men and women, but unequal pay for women. There is also discrimination on the job because, as we know, the preference is for men, except in cases of secretarial and other types of work. Women are also discriminated in the job market. For instance, in the government sector, the indication is 72% of civil servants are men, when we have only 28% of women. And out of these, 98.2% of the women who are employed are at the lower echelons of the bureaucracy, such as cleaners and so on and so forth. So the higher ups are basically men. And now, There is also, as a result of this marginalization, women are compelled to be involved in what is called the informal sector. So we have so many vendors in Ethiopia, particularly in urban areas, selling vegetables and so on and so forth. But again, most of them are harassed by, particularly by police and other elements.